Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So Alliance Quest Rampart is here, and whilst I can't join it quite yet because my alliance is putting up a plan and finalizing it, I can, well, first I'll jump in it. First of all, we can see that we now know that you can bring in 2 champions. Super important. So you don't have to use just the one, but you don't get 3 either. You can bring in 2 champions. The second thing is, obviously, we can take a look at the health pools yet again, even though we could do that before. But the point is that we're dealing with like 650, 700k health pools, which is, that's fair. It's slightly longer than, Realm of Legends. And then we can pick the nodes. Well, take a look at the nodes and decide, obviously, on the best options for these fights. Based on nodes, however, I do have a general idea which champions I think will be the best. So, I guess I'm going to title this video as Top 8 Projected Champions or Most Likely Options. We'll see what it's going to be. I mean, you guys have already seen. But first things first, we do have Hail and Hearty, so whenever the attacker gains a bar of power, the defender gains a regeneration buff, healing 3% of their max health over 8 seconds. That's fairly straightforward. You can knock them down with a heavy attack to disable it, but obviously if you can kind of use it in your favor, it's also neat. Then we have the mini bosses of Aegon, where we have Combo, Fight or Flight, and Long Distance Infinity, which basically means you never want Aegon to go unstoppable, because while you are far away from the defender, Cruelty, Unstoppable, Vigilance, and Indestructible buffs are paused, which means his Unstoppable will remain paused until you get smacked in the face, basically, or you have a way to deal with it. Then in Section 2, you do have No Hit, No Mercy, which is kind of a bit of a whatever node. Rise to Power, and Repetitive Hate, which encourages you to alternate special attacks, but in general, it's just kind of Rise to Power. As long as there are no champions with undexable specials, it will barely matter, really. Then we have another Aegon, with basically the same nodes, except also we have Rubber Band. So whenever the attacker's combo meter reaches 15 or multiple 15, the defender gains a stacking 5-second unblockable buff. Shouldn't be too bad. And the final section, we do have Heal or Hide and Danger Zone. So, Heal or Hide is something that we can finally use to heal ourselves outside of champion abilities. But we did notice that there are 2 regen nodes here. We can try and use it in our favor, for sure. And there's also a fairly large amount of champions with buffs to begin with. And in Section 1 and Section 3, we do have buffs from the nodes. So, my initial thought process is lingering in between specific 8 champions, and I'm going to tell you my projected team, or what I'd suspect to be the best. Here we have AQ ramp champions. All of the champions that we can choose from, obviously several of them are significantly better than others, but what we do want is some sort of sustainability as well, especially just to get to level to the 3rd section where we can potentially heal a little bit. But this is, again, a bit of an endurance fest here. So we do not necessarily want to use squishy champions that do not regenerate. Or at the very least, again, yeah, we want tanky ones. The first champion that I kind of have my eye on here is Absorbing Man, because Absorbing Man fits all of these things quite well. Number one, the nodes bring buffs in majority of the cases if the champions themselves do not. So that, him being Mystic, would be quite helpful. He has regeneration. And he does deal specifically with Immortality, Unstoppable, and Unblockable buffs, which is something that Aegon could potentially, again, gain. And so, to me, seems like Absorbing Man would be a very, very solid option for a lot of these fights, obviously pending the matchups. He's like one of the champions I'm looking at very heavily. Another one that I'm convinced is going to absolutely smash this is Doctor Strange. I think that for a 7-star rank 3, rank 4, that would be a perfect health pool. And, he gives buffs to any opponent, and then he spams specials, and he ramps, and he will nullify the whatever buffs opponents have, and or those regions. So I think Doctor Strange is actually perfectly made for this. I'd actually probably put him ahead. I think Doctor Strange could potentially be just about the best option here. Another one champion is going to be Yondu, because obviously Yondu has that very, very long heal block, and he is quite chunky lad himself. So Moving forward, then, in order to utilize those regen nodes, I think Anti-Venom could potentially do an amazing job because number one, he's kind of like a squishy tank because he does regen everything back at high sig. In sections 1 and 3, he could largely use his regen reversal in order to, finish out the fights faster. Even though he does have plenty of damage now after the buff as well. And lastly, he also has ways to deal with Unstoppable on that A-gun if need be with his Deaccelerate. And he can even deal with Rise to Power. So I'm actually very tempted to try out my rank 3 Anti-Venom also. Lastly, we do have Serpent, because Serpent's available. He doesn't really interact with any of the nodes, but realistically, we know that a lot of people will use Serpent, and he can out-damage any of that regeneration eventually as he ramps up. I do think he's going to be a very safe and solid pick for this, albeit maybe not the fastest, but I do think Serpent, obviously, we're going to see a lot of. I think actually Mojo fits a ton of these things extremely well, because, again, extra buffs, he's a Mystic. You can fuel from that. He will reduce the duration of those regenerations because they are timed. And then, fights like A-gun and stuff like that also should be an absolute win for him. And he ramps up throughout the multitude of fights. So I do think if you have a big Mojo, he could potentially be one of the better answers here because Kabama, again, has chosen to give us like fairly buff-heavy node combinations. Purgatory, again, absolutely why not? She can easily ramp up throughout the fights. She will have her neutralize and then other class abilities that she can collect along the way. And she has regeneration a bit on level 1. Suspect Purgatory is going to do an amazing job here, as well as Dark Phoenix, to be honest, similar to Serpent, because I think a lot of people still sleep on Dark Phoenix because she's mainly viewed as defender. But for medium to long fights, she's crazy good. Like in Colosseum, for instance. And she does have that massive regeneration where you can recover full health. Obviously, we still do need to take in consideration the buffs that we gain. And I'll be absolutely frank, I haven't completely. Because for my first reading, most of them didn't seem like that big of a deal. For instance, start the fight with 10 combo shield passives. Okay. Infuriating efficiency when either champion gains bar power, inflict defender with a rage debuff for 5 seconds. When punching defender special attacks for each non-trauma debuff they are suffering, inflict them with 10% trauma debuff. Fine. There's quite a few to pick from here, obviously. Start fight for 40% amplify passive. So our champions, our selections will be more effective than they normally are, but I don't think any of these like really change how busted these champions will end up being. So obviously this is just going to be kind of like a preliminary projected MVP video. I will upload my fights through it as soon as I kind of get a green go ahead from my alliance that we are free to join. But I have heard very mixed reviews about this. I have heard some people hate it so far who have tried it. I have heard some people love it, and I have heard some people be completely neutral. In theory, I should like this, because this is kind of what I wanted from Lance Quest. Just give us a map that we can clear once and be done with it. Execution of it, we'll see, because again, these fights are completely randomly generated. Kabam also did not alter the rewards in any meaningful way. Because yeah, these do not seem great. They're still giving us tier 2 alpha catalysts for doing this. Like, what? So overall, thoughts and opinion about this, I will create after I have actually cleared it. But as of right now, still hopeful, still want to try it. And yeah, I will likely be bringing in either Yondu and Absman or Anti-Venom and Absman, most likely. I think that could potentially be the combination for me to go in. Sorry, either Yondu or Absman or Anti-Venom or Absman. Yes, those are the champions I'm kind of eyeballing the most. Let me know what's your plan. I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information